Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Mega Man X1. Last episode, our pal Zero died, we got his armbuster, we got the Hadoken, and we did some cleanup around the stages. Now, we're gonna beat up Sigma himself. How you doing, Skyzo?
I'm doing well. Hello, YouTube.
Now here's an awesome trick. See, if an enemy isn't on screen, they count as being dead. So what we did with that ice penguin sled is we entered the boss door in a way that didn't allow the camera to scroll up. So Armored Armadillo was supposed to crash through the ceiling, but he just didn't, so the game just assumed he died right away.
That's handy.
Indeed. You have to make sure you don't jump too high before the boss door though, because that'll scroll the camera up. And don't get too close to the boss door either, because that'll also scroll the camera up. It's a little finicky, but it's not too bad. Also, there's where I choose to get the pretty devastating in pink achievement, although there are other places you can do that. Just make sure you use that level 4 shot to kill at least one boss.
Sounds good.
And from here on, the next minute or 2 minutes or so are fairly uneventful. This is basically just us tearing through all the guys we already beat before with our newfound Hadoken and everything. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Well, I do notice that this is a longer episode, so I wonder what is filling up that space.
Mainly the credits.
Oh, I see.
And here's another very simple Hado. Literally just stand still, fire a shot, and there you go, you got him.
I like how he gestures using his tentacles.
And the last refight after this is Flame Mammoth. If you haven't gotten the Nobody Knows His Sorrow achievement from cutting off his trunk yet, be sure you do it now, because this is your last chance, outside of just doing a new game.
Some impressive lag in the previous section as well.
Yeah, Mega Man X is being pushed to its absolute limits.
I can imagine.
Now, there's actually a trick I could have used on Sting Chameleon, and I'm gonna show you it right now. It's how to do a Hadoken in the air with the help of a penguin sled. You stick it in the wall, get up, pause, do the input, pause, switch to Buster, and there you go. You did a standing Hadoken in the air. You could do it on Chameleon, but he has those spiked ceiling things, so it could always fail. And if you fail on this one, well, the bottom half doesn't damage you, so you just get on it, damage boost, heal up, and then you can just do a Hadoken that way. 2 very easy ways to beat it.
I don't really understand what this boss is supposed to be. Maybe a dinosaur?
It's called D-Rex, so probably.
Oh, right. I messed up.
Well, you never got told the name, so no shame on you. Anyways, even without the Hadoken, it's a fairly easy boss. You basically just jump in between it over and over again while the Boomerang cutter curves upwards. And if he does one of those large balls, just dash under it, because it can't go any lower than that. Well, actually it might be able to, but not immediately. What I'm saying is dashing will always work.
I do like the gimmick though. That's interesting.
Indeed. Alright, Skyzo, you ready to beat up Sigma himself?
Sure, let's hope this is a difficult fight, right? Because it's a climax.
Well, you see those wormholes?
Yeah?
If you ever need to, you should charge up a rolling shield to get a barrier around you, and then farm those guys for health and ammo. Armored Armadillo is the better stage to do that, but you don't get to exit stages until you lose all your lives, so that's something you might end up having to do. I never did, though.
Gotcha.
Alright, so this is a 3-phase fight, so you want to get to know these guys real well. First of all, this dog always does the same opening move, so you can predict it. It will go over your head, then jump back to where it was, so it's a very easy Hado.
Oh, so you just killed his dog, that's kinda sad.
Yeah. He's still smiling, though.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to care. He's a supervillain.
Yeah. He's also a Jedi Master!
No, this is something I wasn't expecting.
Sigma's a cosplayer. He's always something different in every game. Anyways, if you're doing it like Buster only, it's still not very hard fights. With the dog in particular, none of his attacks can reach you. Well, except that flame pillar in a very specific spot. But if he doesn't have that specific angle, his only method of attack is to jump up and down the walls, and you can just stun him as he's climbing his way up. So it's a very simple, very repetitive fight.
So how would you avoid him if you aren't climbing the walls? Maybe you're supposed to do that? I don't understand. Maybe you have to let him jump over you.
You could do that. I mean, it's possible, it's just this is the easiest way I know for beginners.
Yeah, we can see that.
Alright, Sigma, the Jedi Master, he's actually kinda lame. He has 3 attacks, but the only one that can actually reach you on the walls is his wall climbing trick. He is incredibly tanky, though. He doesn't have a single weakness. All he has is... like, he's not even weak to the electric spark, he's just not specifically resistant to it, so it does 2 damage instead of the 1 everything else does.
So by sticking to the wall, you get to reduce his attacks by, like, a lot.
Yeah. Okay, this guy is the hardest fight in the game by far. Well, actually that might be Vile if you're unarmored, but this guy does an obscene amount of damage. He has a lot of attacks. He is immune to absolutely everything except Rolling Shield and the level 4 shot. But the level 4 only does 1 damage, and the Rolling Shield does 2. So, if you're playing it fast, it's this incredibly delicate balancing act where you're trying to dodge everything while getting in your 16 hits. So, if you're new to the game, here is how I would actually recommend fighting him. First of all, switch to your Chameleon Sting and charge something up. And I got lucky with his hand placement there, so I didn't need to charge the full thing, but I might have needed it to climb up the lightning and flame and all. And from here, I recommend staying on the hand and just shooting level 4 shots. It won't do as much damage as Rolling Shield, but it has a much wider hitbox. Now, his other fist can still hurt you from there, so be prepared to move left or right as needed. It'll stop at about where you were. And just be patient, watch out for that other hand, and you should get through the fight.
So I imagine he's immune to the Hadoukens as well?
What did you say?
I imagine he's immune to the Hadoukens as well.
He is. He is immune to everything except level 4 shot and Rolling Shield.
Yeah, could you imagine he, like... Yeah, I mean, it would just one-shot him.
Indeed. Yeah, he is immune to the Hadouken. Although, in the remakes, they actually made him vulnerable to the Hadouken for whatever reason. I don't understand why. I thought this was a good decision.
It's probably a mistake.
Maybe. And yeah, sometimes the best thing is to cancel out your current attack. Like, if you suddenly get up to his face and you're about to shoot a level 4 shot, but you want a Rolling Shield instead, you switch your weapon very quickly twice like that, so you can do what you want to do instead. Saves a little bit of time, because the fight, it kind of takes a while.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like, I'm pretty sure this is the longest fight in this game.
By a country mile. But again, like you want to know how much damage this guy does?
Yeah?
The Flamethrower does 14 bars of damage, and you start the game with 16. The guy will effectively 2-hit KO you with every single one of his attacks if you don't get any health upgrades and you don't have the armor. And even with the armor, he can kill you in 3 hits with a lot of them.
Now that's actually worthy of a final boss.
Yeah, I like that the game designers wanted an easy game, like we can tell that, but they wanted the final boss to be someone you could be proud of beating.
I can see that. I would say that's a good design decision.
Yeah. Also, at the very end, I decided to just damage boost through the stuff because I knew he was only 2 hits from death anyway. Invincibility frames and all.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. Alright, you ready to see the ending text, Skyzo?
Let's take a look. That is an impressive cutscene.
Indeed. I like the music most of all, personally.
The music is nice. It's relaxing.
Very sorrowful, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I also like the way the retranslation makes this more poetic. I think the language is a little more blunt in the actual localization. Hard to tell, though. I haven't played that in a while. You know, speaking of which, Sigma there's actually an interesting mistranslation that's still kinda true. Like, you know how Sigma was all, we could have begun a new age for Reploids?
Yeah.
Well, the localizers mistranslated that as, how could you have beaten me? I am a Reploid. But it's interesting because X actually is not a Reploid himself. Because remember we were talking about that? How Dr. Light made this advanced robot that was like a human being, and then Dr. Kane just tried to replicate that as best as he could by making the Reploids, you know?
Right.
All these Reploids that were vulnerable to Maverick viruses and control chip malfunctions and all. X himself isn't a Reploid, he's more like the father of all Reploids, so in a way, he's taking down all these guys that were based on his design. And that gets to him, actually.
I can see that.
Also, here's the cast of the entire game. Every single enemy is credited and named. Isn't that cool?
Reminds me of the Super Mario World credits, actually, because they have all the enemies. They list them all with pictures and everything.
I wish they did that in more games.
I mean, I guess it would be a lot of work, but I don't know.
Probably. It'd still be neat, though. Although I guess nowadays they have bestiaries and info logs, and I think Metal Gear Solid called them codex, I think?
Yeah, that would be the more modern approach.
Yeah. Well, and there's all the guys we beat up. Notice how their eyes are slightly redrawn to have them looking at the camera.
Except for Storm Eagle, apparently.
Well, okay, at least the first two were. I don't...
Yeah,
Okay, what
so
the heck?
only some of them apparently.
Okay, well, whatever. They... that guy is...
Yeah, that's true.
Huh. X1 with cut corners. Never thought I'd see the day. Well, whatever. It's not important. The fact that they redrew any of them at all is still more than they would ever do in the later games.
That's sad.
And you, as Mega Man X, you did this, Skyzo. You avenged Zero. You saved the human race. You are the ultimate hero. Awesome.
That actually also reminds me of Super Mario World. They did the same thing. I actually don't remember in which level, but yeah, they said you were a super player in like one of the bonus levels at the end.
I also wish they did that more often in games. I mean, okay, it's cheesy, but, you know, good kind of cheese.
Yeah, well, personally, I don't mind it.
By the way, did you know that the artist for this game was the same one that did the concept art for Breath of Fire 2?
No, not at all.
Yeah, these are both Capcom games, so they shared a lot of the same stuff.
I could see that.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, there is a hidden scene at the very end, and one of the achievements is also locked behind this end scene, so make sure you leave the game on for about 5 minutes after you beat Sigma himself. Just pro tip.
Yeah, so like, you would make a coffee or something, then come back and then you'd see it.
That's right. It's coming up at some point. I'm sorry there's some dead air in this one, guys.
Wait, so you're not gonna fast forward?
Ah, there we are. Yep. Sigma. He himself was one of the biggest improvements over the Mega Man series. Like, that one just had Dr. Wily as a comedic goof, Einstein-looking guy for all 8 of the games. Sigma also appeared a bit too often, but at least he was a cool villain. If I was gonna meet someone over and over again, Sigma is about the guy I would have chosen.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And that was a classic, like, you know, hinting at a sequel. So that's smart of them.
Indeed. So, Skyzo, what did you think of it?
Well, I haven't really played it, but I will certainly try it, and it does look fun. But some of the skips and stuff, they look a little too difficult for me, so I'm gonna play this the way it was intended, so to speak.
Oh, of course. So, no passwords nor any skips or anything like that, right?
Yeah, well, at least not the ones that are too difficult, and I'm not going to be using the Hadouken either, because that just breaks the game.
I mean, you do have to kill yourself like 4 times in order to get it, so you'd never figure it out without a strategy guide.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. As for me, I don't feel like this is the best X game, but it's the one with the best presentation. I mean, we have that really fascinating opening text. We have Dr. Kane's expedition logs in the manual and everything like that. We have actually a somewhat dark story, as far as we know, a lot of these guys aren't turning villain because they wanted to. They're turning villain because of the Maverick virus, because Dr. Kane didn't quite build them right. Because, like, Sigma was actually meant to be the ultimate hero, and instead ended up being the ultimate bad guy. And because all the Maverick Hunters were loyal to Sigma and not the hero, they all ended up falling with him. Except for Storm Eagle, who tried to do the right thing but failed.
I can see that. That's a little sad. I had no choice in the matter.
Yeah. Well, with Sigma it gets a little fuzzy. I don't think they intended for him to be a tragic character, because I don't think they fully thought through the implications of everything, so at least in the remake of X1, his motivation becomes he's a social Darwinist, basically, who believes the humans are holding them down, and I mean, to be honest, they are, because they can do everything that humans can do and much, much more. Like, they don't age, they don't have to go through childhood, they can lift buildings, lots of stuff like that, but I'll talk more on that later, as it becomes pertinent. As far as the main series, it's a little fuzzy on that.
Right.
And obviously there wasn't a lot of text, but they did a really good job with the mood of everything, like especially the final stages. If you pay attention to the music and the background, it starts off very epic and heroic with the sunset and everything. And then Zero dies, and you start the second stage, and suddenly there's a lot less clouds in the sky. The music is still epic, but it's very melancholy at the same time. It's more of a so many people have sacrificed themselves and you can't afford to cry yet theme until you beat up the bad guy. And then we begin this episode, and the third stage is very creepy and sinister. And the fourth is just like barely any music at all. It's just scare chords and piano.
I enjoy it when music is used to reflect on the character's feelings. I feel like that's very smart.
Yeah. As far as gameplay goes, I'm not going to touch on the soundtrack and graphics, because, I mean, they're awesome. What more do you say? This is definitely the one people have the most nostalgia for. I don't think it's the absolute best game, because for starters, you don't even start off with the dash boots, which means all the stages are kind of designed around your walking speed and not on your dash speed, which kind of breaks a few things here and there. And it also has it has at least one armor part, the head upgrade, that's almost worthless for the entire game, because the only thing it really does is it allows you to crush certain kinds of blocks that leads to the arm upgrade. But you can also get the arm upgrade from Zero, so were it not for the Hadoken, it'd very much just be a paperweight.
Yeah, pretty much.
But you can't really hold all that against it, because it was the first game. I just think, like, if the order was swapped, and X2 and X3 came before X1, it'd feel kind of lacking in comparison, but it's still a very, very good game.
Well, yeah, it did seem like it.
Anyways, this is Fiona de Quester signing out. Have a nice day, everyone, and God bless you all.
Okay, I'll catch you all later.
Bye.